Welcome back to round 2 of Eternal Weekend North America. My name is Julian Knapp. I am here with Kaiser Vatari.
What's up,
Beautiful
guys?
Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and we are ready to watch yet another awesome set of Magic games. Legacy is the format of the day 2 of Eternal Weekend. And Kai, this is a long way to go, right? Today we're going to play 9 rounds. There's going to be 2 more Swiss rounds tomorrow. And we're going to see one of the most recently accomplished players in the format, or rather in Magic altogether. And I'm excited to see what's going to be going down for the second game here, for the second round here. We got beautiful sponsors as well, bringing us this tournament. We, of course, got Card Titan running the entire show. They got a code Eternal Weekend 2023 for 10% off your order until the end of the month. And Game Genie with the same code until the end of the weekend, another 10%. So make good use of those. I'm excited to see what's going to be going on here. There's so many different decks in Legacy. I want to see what's going to go down in the second round as we see. Rakdos Reanimator. Okay. I think this is a pretty straightforward build here. We got your Faithless Looting splashed, and then all of the goodies, all of the ungodly creatures that you can up with. And no...
I think the craziest part about this deck is maybe that the Orcish Bowmasters are already in the main deck. This I like a lot. It's not the all-in on Griselbrand kind of deck. It already has like a plan B to it.
Yeah. We saw a similar deck top 8 the European Eternal Weekend. I think that one was even more committed to a slightly more mid-range plan. Dominic Harvey here, Pro Tour top 8 competitor, picked this deck to, we talked about this in the early round, right? If you play an unfair deck, if you play an aggressive deck, if you play anything that closes out games and matches quickly, you definitely get a lot of, like, I want to call it like stamina advantage in a 9-round tournament. So we'll see how quick this one's gonna end. Dominic here is up against TJ Raymore on lands. And Kai, I think traditionally this used to be a pretty lopsided matchup, right? I'm pretty sure which side of the matchup I want to be on here.
It is. Like Reanimator, like against a non-Force of Will deck is already like heavily favored. However, there's this card called Crop Rotation, and if TJ can, get one of those, like he can instant speed get a Bojuka Bog to completely nuke Dom's graveyard.
There are certainly like tricks that you can pull. We also see the main deck Sphere of Resistance. Of course, TJ would have loved to be on the play here, right? If you can start your turn on the play with a turn 1 Sphere of Resistance, it's gonna be a nightmare for Dom to get back into this. All of a sudden, like your Entombs and stuff, they cost 1 mana, 2 mana. Your Reanimation spells cost just as much, and at that point, you're opening yourself up to Wastelands and Dazes and Ports in this matchup specifically. So I think TJ is just sitting there, and I love that Dom actually takes out the Mox, right? He sees that there's nothing too threatening right now for him, and the one thing that could overwhelm him is TJ getting like a very fast opening, and right now he knows that there's really nothing to be feared except for like land go.
I mean, that was also, the Mox was the only colored source of mana, I think. So even if TJ top decks the Crop Rotation we talked earlier, like you can't really cast it, right? Like this hand, as for now, is basically mono brown.
And okay, this is interesting. So we go for what I sometimes call the naked saga, like the kind of Urza saga where you know that you won't really be making any constructs out of them. But at the same time, I would guess that TJ has some kind of, like, let's say, Soul Guide Lantern or anything that can really attack the graveyard that he can eventually find with it. Otherwise, I would guess there's also the Expedition map that I might have seen in his hands that could eventually try to find the Bojuka Bog. Of course, that one that would then only come down at instant speed, at sorcery speed. So which way TJ actually like plays his cards, he can grind out a little bit of an edge here, but with Dom going turn 1, discard spell, end of turn, and 2, whichever creature I want, it's gonna be a very tall order, and and we already see the X-Human hand. So at this point, Dom is really just like trying to figure out what is the best creature for the matchup, because I don't think it's Arcan, right? Yeah, it is Griselbrand. There's no Arcan of Cruelty. A recent addition to, but I say recent, it's been in the deck for like a year or something. I guess in Legacy terms that still counts as recent. And we just go for good old Grizzle Daddy. Best draw engine in the format.
A little nervous because there is the card called Caracas, which can easily bounce Griselbrand back to its hand. But like after drawing like 7 or even 14 cards, Don can maybe get like additional threats into play, like maybe reanimating like a Grief, or even a couple of Bowmasters maybe. Like this Grizzlebrand, it's not all in on this Grizzlebrand, right?
Yeah, a lot of times, if you're in a situation like this, as some shows us, like his spoils, like, hey, look at this, I almost got 20 cards. A lot of times when you've been in a situation like this, if you start out by going for Grizzlebrand, you really want to end somewhere else. But first of all, you want to make sure that you're in an overwhelmingly advantaged position. If you had committed to another kind of creature, and TJ would have actually ended up having the answer for it, whether it's like a legend that you would bounce with Caracas, or even something else that you could shut down in an easy way, then you don't have a lot of cards to work with. Whereas now, Dom gets to discard another card. This one's going to be the Sphere. He sees what he's up against. Okay, I need to beat Mace. You can do that, especially just like by throwing more creatures onto the board. Archon is also a way to like get beyond the Mace very slowly, but surely. And I'm not even sure, like, I want to say in the first game, one way lands could actually like try to fight and try to hang, but certainly not after a start like this, is to establish a glacial chasm lock. You want some kind of like recursion. Ideally, you also want like an exploration, and hope that Dom can't really do anything other than maybe attack with Arcane for like 3 damage, or life loss rather, a turn, which is a little bit, well, glacial, a clock.
Yeah,
actually, no pun intended, but we got there.
That's a good, that's a good point. That's a good point. Unfortunately, though, I don't think there is a glacial chasm in TJ's deck for this tournament.
I think there's also not enough turns in TJ's turn or game for this game at least. Dom goes down to 8. There's also like no way that TJ can really raise this. There's any kind of draws that would produce like a quick Mirror Large would not really work, and Tom would also like have a lot of counterplay against that at this point. I think here we're really only going through emotions here. TJ is just like sitting back, trying to see as much as he can. Like, I guess he sees the red splash that's already assumed, unless you find something that's like makes you think otherwise. Back in the days, you remember when Blue-Black Reanimator was the deck of choice in Legacy? Like when Blue-Red really, or rather Black-Red, really only became a thing in like 2016, 17, when, who was it? I should know that. Somebody won the Eternal Weekend in Paris back then, and I think that was Michael Chevalier. I'm very sorry if I butchered your name, but yeah, I remember when this deck won Eternal Weekend Europe in 2016, and I called it a fluke. Yeah, well, this might have been almost as bad as when we called like Oko a card that's probably not playable on the podcast. But yeah, I thought like Black-Red Reanimator was like not gonna hang, and I was very much on Blue-Black Reanimator, which these days is the fringe decks in Legacy, right?
Oh, totally. Yeah, so here we saw a classic Reanimator doing its Reanimator thing in game number 1. It's almost as scripted. Like, the deck is just so powerful in what it does that, like, if you don't have like a Force of Will or your graveyard hit like immediately, like, you might lose this game relatively quickly. I think the more interesting games are the ones like post sideboard, because we gotta see like how much the land stack can hate on the graveyard without, while keeping its own like lands strategy, like making like quick constructs in Dark Depths, Merit Lage tokens, things like that. And the Reanimator deck also, like, how much does it warp into maybe like a Doughty Voidwalker fair mono black deck to not lose the crop rotation?
Okay, so we saw Dom actually taking out, I think that was all of the Orcish Bowmasters. It was kind of hard to see which card he brought in. Was it like very dark one, which immediately would make me think Dismember, but I don't really think that's the one. Is there anything you want to bring? Could have been like Voidwalkers, but I agree, Bowmasters not exactly what you want in the matchup, right? There's next to no value you can really milk of them.
Right, like Lance doesn't draw extra cards most of the time. Orcish Bowmasters is kind of a blank card here, but Doughty Voidwalker, like blanking like the graveyard, like Life from the Loam is a huge part of land stack. I don't dislike Doughty Voidwalker here.
Okay, so curious what TJ is gonna be able to present here. He must expect some kind of like graveyard strategies to make its rounds in Legacy, right? When I go to tournaments, this is like some Legacy wisdom which might or might not be correct to apply, but something that's really been instilled in me is, if you go to big paper tournaments, people who use the graveyard are gonna show up in full force, so be ready for that. People who like combo decks, storm decks, They might not show up in as big of numbers as you see online, but people who love the graveyard, they do love the graveyard. So you better have a play against it. So I would think TJ would be very much ready for this. As we see his opening hand, one of the fastest ways you can open up here. You got your Mox Diamond, you got your Ancient Tomb, and you're ready to make 4 mana on the second turn. Not sure whether we can actually utilize that, but we already got ourselves a Time Walk, right? I guess Dom is still gonna try to grief here. No. Okay, he's literally just playing out the loneliest, saddest Lotus Petal in the world.
Like this has some like vintage vibes to it, where we play a prison piece and then opponent taps his land to cast a Mox off the land. It's kind of like vintage-ish.
Yeah. Imagine you're the guy with Mox Diamond, while the other one is just like playing Lotus Petal. You're like, yeah, sure, have that. You pay 1 mana for that? Dude, I got this one for free. Oh, and this is the dreaded, I want to say these days, slightly less pronounced, basically prison mode of lands, as Dom is being once again locked into a potential 0 or 1 mana play, depending on whether he wants to like use his Lotus Petal or maybe have another land. Looks like he's faced with a very tough decision.
Yeah, gosh, the Sphere of Resistance is such a strong card. Like, look at this, right? Like, sacrificing Lotus Petal and basically tapping completely out for this Faithless Looting. Like, if you take it, like you know that there's nothing gonna there's not gonna be like any follow-up after this, right?
Not on this turn, but I could imagine. Yeah, is that just Arcan in the Graveyard? Yeah, it looks like it's just Arcan in the Graveyard. Ooh, and Dom, even dude, I gotta applaud him for that. Preserving proper Graveyard order when reserving a Faithless Looting. Yeah, so Tom knows what he's doing, right? He's been around. And he's actually ready to summon that guy to the graveyard, to the battlefield. So if I'm TJ, I'm thinking, okay, I gotta have a plan against that Arcan, because Arcan of Cruelty is reasonably likely to come down here now. And it looks like, oh, okay, yeah, that works. That works. We paid, like, this is basically an unthresholded Cable Ritual into Axiom. And now TJ has to deal with the Arcan. I mean, if Lance is capable of dealing with a creature like that, I want to say, yeah, a lot of these aspects have been somewhat diminished, but okay, never mind. Look at me. Okay. I just got Swords to Plowshares. I have problems with big creatures? No, I don't. I just got the swords. Easy game, easy life. Let's do it.
Yeah, TJ has everything mapped out here for this game. There's a lock piece, there's a Ursa Saga to also get like hard graveyard removal in a few minutes here, I think, but also like the Swords to Plowshares to resolve Archon of Cruelty. Very nice, very nice. Like at this point, it's really about like how many draw steps Dom gets, right? Like it, because I imagine there's gonna be like 2 constructs on the field soon. They're gonna be like medium sized, and with a Soulguard Lantern in play and a Sphere of Resistance, it's not gonna be easy.
Assuming there is a Soulguard Lantern, but I would think so, right? That there's a good chance.
Yeah, there's one in the main deck already, so
oh, even better
then.
Okay, Dom, you're gonna need another Faithless Looting and Entomb instead. Oh, we go back to square one. Okay, let's just make this Lotus Petal. We tried this before. It kind of worked for like half a second. Oh, I love these Arcade Post tokens. I got one of those as well in my
nice,
deck
yeah.
for the Saga. Okay, yeah.
All right, so
it's gonna be rough.
Yeah, so Saga goes up to 3 here, I believe, and I'd be surprised if there's a non lantern card makes it on the battlefield here.
Yeah. So I'm wondering whether the best way to victory for Dom is to do some kind of like ritual, I don't know, Griselbrand, Arcan turn. I think that one could actually win the game, because for all we know right now, TJ is out of proper removal spells. And even the Maze of it is not going to do it. And as Arcan attacks every single turn, we're going to take out the constructs. So his, like, if you know how you do this as a player, right? If you're ahead, you always think about, hey, how could I lose the game? And if I'm on TJ's side, I think the way for me to lose the game would be something like, I don't know how many Dark Rituals we really need to make an Arcan here. Probably more than there are left in the deck, but that's at least the one thing that Dom is most likely to do, even though it's very, very rare to see a comeback from here.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and he just packs it in. No extra Dark Ritual, no Arcane. Yeah, let's go to game 3, where he's suddenly going to be favored, right?
Yeah. I'm a little surprised to see this concession so early, because if there were Doughty Void Focus in the deck, I could definitely see how they could have changed the game maybe a little bit.
Really?
Yeah, because I mean TJ was on kind of like a lower life total, while Dom
Because
had
of
a
the
lot
abuse
of life.
of Ancient Tomb, right? Yeah, okay, I see.
Exactly. So that was a little telling, maybe, and maybe Doughty didn't make it in, but we shall see.
Dom, I think there are a few decks that are as happy to be on the play as Reanimator. So capable of doing something really broken in the first turn. But lands, we saw Mox Diamond, we saw Ancient Tomb. They have their ways. But as we open up the hand here, we see
Oh, look at this
there's
hand.
an Entomb, there's Reanimation. Yeah, I think
this looks like a fantastic hand. It has the whole combo in it, and on turn 1.
And you definitely go for it, right? You don't.
Yeah. The only
this
thing
kind of
that's
hand probably doesn't really play around any kind of graveyard removal. You just go for it straight away.
I mean, that's what happens if you sign up, at an event with a combo deck like this. Is that like sometimes you jam and just hope, right? And basically go, hey, well, if you got endurance, you got endurance or surgical.
Yeah, and I want to say, like, even if the Reanimate like fizzles because TJ has removal, you still get a bunch of removal spells. And at that point, you just need to draw into like another Entomb, maybe Faithless Looting that goes your way. And if not, you very likely win the game. Which kind of creature are you getting here? Are we getting Grizzlebrand again? Kai, call it quickly.
I think so. I think we're getting Grizzlebrand with the follow-up of like draw 14 and more and more madness basically on turn 1.
That sounds pretty good.
Yeah, I don't think you want to slow roll this game with like some Archon of Cruelty, or really some like even like Atraxa like seems kind of medium. Like Grizzlebrand has like so much raw power, and drawing 14 on your turn 1 with potential like follow up Griefs. Like Grief is really like what might carry him, because that might take out like a Mox Diamond or something. Oh, and there is Endurance.
You got everything. You got the Endurance. We got potential Caracas for later on. I think we also saw Assaults to Plowshares in hand. So TJ is ready. Like, we got the nearly broken Nut Sand from Dom, except for the discard spell. And TJ came here to play as well. So DJ is like, yeah, this Endurance, this Exploration, I don't need it. Let's just like take out your graveyard. And now it's up to TJ, right, to produce some kind of offense, because as we mentioned, Dom's hand is capable of recovering. And TJ just passes with Yavimaya, Cradle of Growth. No, okay. We're up to a little bit more. Mox Diamond, okay, doesn't want to get that one discarded. I guess it makes sense. It also gives you access to white mana on the opponent's turn, should you really need it. And now Dom is basically just sitting there waiting to draw what is probably going to be Entomb or Faithless Looting. I guess you know what you could do. I guess you could animate that the opponent's endurance at some point should
you could
become,
do that. Yeah, we've seen it a couple of times. It's not a winning recipe, unfortunately.
Yeah, very much not, especially not against lands. TJ has us Urza's Saga as well, and that one's definitely gonna give him a lot of offense, as well as another way to attack the graveyard 2 turns from now. So Dom needs to find something, and needs to find something quickly.
Yeah,
like probably like right now. He's maybe gonna get another turn, but from there, it's not even clear whether he's gonna win a race, and especially with Caracas in the mix, some of his lifelink creatures are also gonna be turned off.
I gotta say, like, I love this aggressive use of crop rotation. Exactly in this kind of scenario, right? Like where Dom just went all in on turn 1. Now needs a little bit of time to basically recoup cards to pull it off again. And the Urza Saga is basically ready to pop off now, and that's gonna give TJ the graveyard hate he needed for the long game, right? Like Soulguard Lantern is gonna come down very soon here, and a little bit of construct. Like TJ is done waiting, I think, and Of course, you can hold the crop rotation for like a Bajuka block in some scenarios, but like given how the game played out so far, like aggressive constructs into the actual like hate lock piece, Soul Guard Lantern is really nice here.
You know, this is so smart because it perfectly merges all of the cards and all of the like potential tactical angles that Tom might have and the defense that TJ has against it together. He's basically only really afraid of the lifelinkers because those can actually win the match. And he's got that covered with Caracas. And should there ever be an Archon, which is like the other way for Dom to actually get back into the game, he's got the Swords of Plowshares in his hand. And should Dom just like try some kind of other line, maybe like Grizzlebrand, draw a bunch of cards, then the constructs are gonna close out the game very quickly. And today, you know, when you look back, in situations like this kind of deck used to have something like, let's call it Inkwell Leviathan, you know, something that's untouchable, that sits there and does something. I think that's the one strategic angle that Reanimator kind of lost. And I think it's probably the right choice to lose that because Inkwell Leviathan wasn't always the greatest card to get. But TJ is really taking advantage of this kind of problem that Reanimator can't really solve with its tools. Even post-board, I think. I could be wrong, and I hope Dom proves me wrong, because that's gonna for sure be like one big spectacle. But right now, I think, you know, TJ is just slowly grabbing all of the strategic angles that Dom has, and it's not letting him back out again. Let's see.
Yep. Okay, Baby Construct as a 2/2 just chips in for 2 points of damage, and that will do it. Will do it. That endurance changed everything. And I like how aggressive TJ went with his mulligan decisions, right? Because he could have also kept a hand with like, let's say like a turn 1 Sphere of Resistance, or like a crop rotation, but it had to be one of his 3 endurance in the sideboard, which rewarded him for this round and this match.
Yeah, and from Dom's side, you certainly don't come to a tournament to not do your turn 1 reanimation to Grizzlebrand, draw 14 cards, right? So I think we got a backup feature match here. Oh. Okay. Here we go. Let everybody get on the raft. We are headed for a journey down the Mississippi River, played by Lizward here. If you don't know this deck, I can't really fault you. This is interesting because this deck has not been on Magic Online for a very long time, so you really only got to see it in action in paper for most of its existence. It was created like a year ago, and then for a very long time, nobody really talked about it. It was like the thing that you knew existed. And I think I can try to explain to you how all of this works, but I think the best way to sum it up is just like, this is one whole Cascade Fest, right? We're going to try to get to 5 mana, cast Creative Technique, and then there's a very good chance that we literally cascade into the entire deck and follow it up with Emrakul for an extra turn and win the game from there.
Perfect, yeah. It's probably like the newest deck in the format, I want to say, like the new strategy. But yeah, Creative Technique, extremely good versus control decks. And you see also like a lot of wonky lands in that deck that produce all like 2 mana.
On the other side, we got Alex Mack on 5-color Senate. Oh, dude, that's a deck that I haven't seen in quite a long while, right? 5-color Senate, usually known for doing something like, you know, Yorion, even though that deck looks pretty big. That might be a Yorion. No? Okay. But playing its namesake card, accelerating on the first turn, giving its best Maverick impression. What it usually does is it just like tries to take advantage of cards like Layer Vault or have access to like a really good toolbox. And Elijah Rothschild pretty much gives away what's going on here, right? If you see Serpentine Scary tapped on the first turn, pass, you know what's up. This is Mississippi River. There's really not any other deck in Legacy that tries to make the card work. Yeah, Elijah sitting here at 1-0 and trying to go down the river once more.
Yeah, look at him. Like he's here to have fun. You know, he's here to jam a few like enormous Cascade cards. Like the biggest one is the Apex Devastator. It's a 10 mana 8/8 that says Cascade, 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 Cascade. So you might see a lot of fireworks in this matchup. I don't know how Alex has designed his deck. Like if he can like really stop that Cascade onslaught here.
And look at this. Like we're basically, I mean, the first couple of turns are pretty easy, right? You run out your lands, you try to get to 5 mana. You can't really use something like Spirit Guides because you might cascade into that, and that stops the whole idea, the cascading. And one way to attack this is to aggressively wasteland them, but Alex not really, like at least his deck not really known for pushing that kind of plan, even though there might even sometimes be like a copy or something in there. But instead, I'm wondering, like I'm not sure what's in his deck right now. Maybe he's got some kind of hate bear that he can send it for. I can't really imagine too many, especially not in green. But we'll see. Looking at the deck right now, it looks pretty fair. Yeah, and he's also like, he's going through it. He's like, oh, dude, what do I even want to get later on? Like, Oro? Oh, Teferi. Did you see Teferi? Dude, Teferi is a big one. Teferi basically stops all of those cascade shenanigans.
Oh, nice.
If you can get that one down, it's basically close to lights out for Elijah, unless he can literally start hardcasting creatures and attacking. No, look at this. Natural order, sure. What do you think he's gonna get there? Or Elijah wants to do something? Okay, that's interesting. What are we gonna do with 4 mana? Oh, no, that doesn't work.
Oh, I think we are trying to bounce, the creature which is already in the graveyard as a cost-to-cost natural order here.
Yeah.
But no worries. We can bounce whatever comes out of the natural order, right?
It depends on what's. Like, I'm actually not sure which. Okay, so there's maybe a chance that Elijah wants to like bounce this on upkeep or in response to a fetch. But the judges will figure this out. Okay, what do you think we're gonna get for the natural order here, assuming it's gonna resolve here? Is there anything broken in green that can actually like stop Elijah's plan?
I mean, if this was like a year ago, I would have said Progenitus, but I think now in 2023, we can probably hope for Atraxa, Grand Unifier. And while Atraxa herself is not the answer to this matchup, she might find you at the Teferi Time Raveler, which is quite important in this matchup because Teferi's passive ability says that there cannot be a cascade. Basically, doesn't work.
Basically, everything you play has to be at sorcery speed, right? And since the cascade triggers and potential castings of the following cards resolves while the original cascade spell is still on the stack, you cannot cast the stuff that you cascaded into. So you still get like your creative technique, which I guess is eventually going to give you something. I'm not even sure. I think that might not even work, but it certainly is going to stop everything from coming into the graveyard and into play, and maybe even winning on the very certain turn. Atraxa, as you predicted, comes down, so let's keep track of which card Alex actually wants to take. He probably wants to take a Force of Will. He wants to take a Teferi. Ooh, look at the technology that we got there. Anorak bringing us this. This is perfect. This is everything I wished for. I had a dream about having a view like this last night. So we're definitely going to take the Force of Will, the Senate, the Lair Vault over Uro, I would guess. I'm not even sure. And then your pick of a land.
Yeah, and I think that's it. A little unfortunate that there was no Planeswalker. It's also not entirely crazy to grab the Brainstorm instead of Force of Will if you want to brainstorm into Teferi, maybe.
But, I see what you're saying.
Because here's the problem, right? Usually, Force of Will is an excellent card versus combo deck. Against the deck Mississippi River, not so much, because the creative technique card is designed in a way that a single Force of Will doesn't stop it. You need multiple Force of Wills to stop the combo.
And that's because of the demonstrate ability, right?
Exactly. Yeah, it copies itself.
It gives your opponent a copy of the spell, which reveals cards from the top until you basically find a creature and put it, or anything, and like can cast it, put into play. We will see how that actually works as we get to it. Should we ever get to it? And most of the time, your opponent is gonna find like, I don't know, like a Brainstorm or nothing too exciting, whereas you find, you know, what's it called, Boarding Party and the Universe, all those kinds of like really powerful, expensive spells that nobody would ever play fair mana for. And I'm not even gonna try to pretend I know which one that is.
Okay, so this is a Cascade spell. The name escaped me too, but it's a 6 mana wizard. I think that also has Cascade in it. And it's important that the card costs 6 mana because our creative technique is the 5 mana spells, and the only spell that you can cascade into, and there it is.
Looks like this actually ended up working out for Elijah, right? We're getting this one down. Like, imagine your opponent just made a giant 7/7 flying lifelink death touch. I think it even has vigilance, and you're like, oh yeah, I mean, yeah, I guess that's good. But what about my deck? As Alex reads the cards, trying to figure out what's going on here, and then Elijah explains, I assume he's gonna make a copy for both players. So Elijah gets to do this twice. And if you have never seen this, I tell you, grab a drink, maybe some popcorn, sit down, because especially in paper, you're going to see probably the biggest board of the entire weekend.
Yeah, this might be.
And Alex makes sure, like, grabs it again. Is this really how it works? This is crazy.
Yeah, this might be like one of, if not the most ridiculous deck in Legacy right now, because it's not really a typical Legacy deck. Like all the things the deck does are just so not typical for Legacy. It really reminds me of like the first time when Dredge got introduced into Legacy, you know, because like of how different the Dredge deck was to compared to everything else. And now we have it. I guess the only quote-unquote normal thing in this Mississippi River deck is that it has Ancient Tomb or lands that produce mana.
Yeah.
Right?
You know, I think Alex is trying to figure out whether he wants to force fill something here. I think he can actually go for his, and I think that's what he actually might be doing, resolve his first trigger. Oh!
No way!
Out of all the cards!
No, that was the only card. Oh my goodness, that's the only card that stops the combo right there.
Oh my god, did you see the expression of Elijah on Elijah's face? He's like, out of all the things he could have had, come on. Dude, it looks like they're having a good time though, right?
This is absolutely mind-blowing. Oh my, like, what are the odds? What are the odds?
Know. You know, this is where Alex tells you, dude, this is actually just a one-off. This is a best-of clip, by the way. If anybody wants to put something like this together, definitely put this one in. I think Elijah reads the card like 3-4 times. He's like, this is broken. And yeah, Elijah's like, can't cast this.
Yeah, he can't believe it. That's
unbelievable.
Unbelievable.
And this one, he wants to read this one. Okay, another card.
So the previous card was, I think, like Boarding Party, which is like another Cascade card. But oh my goodness, yeah, and we end up with well,
perfect board, right?
A perfect board, a creature each.
Elijah's my goodness! Well, he still gets to have that original wizard, right? That you talked about.
That should be in play, but no, it gets forcible. A little aggressive, honestly, because you could also Teferi bounce it if needed. But I can also see how Alex wants to close out this game ASAP.
Yeah, I'm still like trying to figure out. Does anybody know what the wizard does? Anyway, we're gonna get rid of that. We got a 7/7 fly. If you have a 7/7 flying lifelinker, then you don't really need any kind of like other creatures that you worry about. You're just gonna go in there.
Oh my goodness.
Is this gonna be no, that's not gonna be another natural order, right? As we see Alex crack his 4th land, it immediately tells me, oh, are we gonna cast a 4-mana spell? Is it like a Traxa natural order into something even bigger? Oh, it's probably going to be a Senate then, right? I would guess. Senate for Leovold.
We picked up a Senate. Yeah, I don't even know what the best card is to get. It could also just be as simple as like an Uro, Titan of Nature's Wrath, maybe to get a little more card advantage. But at this point, like you're so focused on this Atraxa, and I guess we have seen the bounce land, I think. Otawara was, yeah, so they might want to have some backup, maybe some backup for the beatdown.
Yeah, I think at this point, I'm not even sure. Oh god, yeah, Grist. You know, Grist is another like really good thing, because now if Elijah somehow gets to make a creature, we've got it covered like in so many ways. We can either kill it with Grist, we can bounce it with Teferi. So I guess we would need like a hasty creature to cast, and then we still can't get past the Atraxa. Elijah, yeah. I don't know where we're going.
I think like Alex got like so excited he even forgot to shuffle Green Sun Zenith into his deck, I think. But hey,
okay, yeah, happens to the best of us. You know how you shuffle twice for Green Sun Zenith? I think I've mentioned this like almost every single cast I'm on where it does Green Sun Zenith, because I think that's one of the things that nobody in the whole world ever does. Like, you're supposed to shuffle your library and then you shuffle your Green Sun Zenith back into the deck afterwards. So technically, for cards that care about the number of times you shuffle your deck,
oh totally. I'll probably almost call it. Yeah, I would probably like call a judge if someone shovels twice for the Green Suns in it.
Yeah,
But,
definitely. It's a shortcut, right? You just shuffle once.
but then Josh goes on me then, yeah.
Yeah, Elytra is trying to figure out what can I actually do here. I got 4 mana. Probably nothing to do.
Like,
Wait, Hickory, what's it called? What are Hickok? Something like that.
mhm.
That's going to give us a little more mana on the next turn, but we need
Like we
another
need to
monster.
we need to deal with this Teferi, right? Like this is step number 1. There's just no way around it. We can bounce Teferi. That'd be like a good start. And maybe we can close out. We can attempt another cascade. Right after that, but life
Oh,
totals
that's a lot of mana, though.
life totals are going really low here.
Okay, I don't hate bouncing the Atraxa because we already talked about, right? One way that Elijah could maybe do something is to get like a hasty creature and then start attacking the planeswalkers. He probably needs to do that twice. But it also needs to be a trample creature or some kind of evasive creature now that we got insect tokens. Yeah, it's, you try to see the ways for Elijah to still claw back into at least game 1, but I think they're like all closing up very soon. And at this point, Alex is really just going through the motions. Probably gonna make an Uro at some point here, and that's gonna be the end of it.
Mm-hmm. Here's like a little nice thing about Gris that I haven't even seen in a while, is that you can brainstorm and you put a card you don't want at the top, and then you can plus Grist and mill that card, which is kind of cute.
Oh, that's so cool. That's so cool. I love that.
It's like one of those small things you get in Legacy, right? Like the combination of brainstorm and Grist, or like, I mean, it's probably nothing new to players to crack a fetch land after brainstorm, but there are so many other ways to clear the top of your library. And it's like a lot of like small little tips and tricks and things you can do to get an edge in matchups. I love that. I love that so much about Legacy. That like you can't really pull this off in many other formats.
I'm curious what they're gonna do with the second game, because I've been sitting across from Mississippi River at times, and I felt like, how is this not the? I think when it became legal on Magic Online, it won the very first Legacy challenge that it was legal in by a player who could only find 3 copies of Creative Technique. So for like a week, everybody was talking about, oh, the deck is only playing like 3 copies of it, and I know the card was brand new, and like they literally couldn't find the 4th copy and still won the Legacy challenge.
Great story.
Yeah, I'm full of those. So let's see. Oh, the card earlier, by the way, was Sakashima's Protege. I'm seeing it right now. Okay. It can enter the battlefield as a copy of any permanent that entered the battlefield this turn. Okay. I guess it could have copied Teferi? Not too sure. Oh, is it? Yeah, okay. Never mind. I think I got Force of Will. I think that's actually why it might have gotten Force of Will, right? Because otherwise it would have copied Teferi and then done something weird. Yeah, that makes sense. I think at this point, we're really only sitting here watching the insect attacks. There must be some really bad 80s horror film about like insect attacks or something, spiders. Which kind of insects does Grist actually make? Like, what does he prefer? Is he like more like a spider guy, or I don't know?
Oh, I could, yeah, like all sorts of bugs, right? Like, definitely not butterflies.
Butterfly? Oh yeah, I guess butterflies. I never thought about this. Butterflies are insects, yeah. They're too cute
Like,
to be insects.
Like somewhat.
Yeah.
Okay.
As we delve deeper into our lesson on biology here,
Yeah.
3 bugs and a giant are ready to close out the game on the next turn, as Elijah is still hoping to maybe make something work on his turn. Or maybe it's just like loving life, loving the deck, I can appreciate that so much. Even when the Teferi was revealed for the demonstrate, for the copied spell, like, he had a smile on his face, right?
Oh, yeah.
I appreciate that kind of gamer so much. You're like, okay,
Yeah.
couldn't do it. Let's go to the next game.
There's like so much like facial expression in Elijah's deck. I love it. I love it. Like, even revealing his hand before sideboarding.
Yeah. Okay, here comes something. Mississippi River has like one tricky thing in the sideboard that takes a moment to properly figure out. It has the card Throes of Chaos in there, and when you look at the card is really weird because it literally doesn't do anything. It only has 2 abilities: Cascade and Retrace. So what you can do with this is, and get ready because this is a little complicated, you cast it, then cascade into the only spell that costs less than it. In this case would be Tribal's Trickery, which then allows you to counter a spell. And if I remember correctly, you reveal cards from the top of your library. We'll get to it as it actually eventually happens. Exile card from the top of your library, it's a non-land spell with different name that spell. Yeah, so you counter that spell, and the first thing and the only thing that you can find is either Creative Technique or another Cascader. And as you keep doing that, you see what's happening here, right? You still go through your entire deck. So this gives you, on one hand, a little bit more trickery and a little bit more staying power in the sense that you can retrace it from the graveyard a couple of times, so you're better against counter spells. And it also increases the number of like business spells that you can cast in a deck in the first place. So we'll see where we go about it as we come to this, because this is pretty complicated. We also have a Mirror Shell Crab in the sideboard, which is kind of like a mana leak that you can cast for 3 mana. So you have at least some way of fighting back against more controlling decks. And I could maybe see something like that coming in for Elijah. He certainly has it figured out better than I have, as I try to piece this together. Mississippi River, you certainly need, we sometimes make fun of these like Stompy-esque combo decks, but as I stumble to properly explain the combo, this is not super trivial. So I want to see it happen.
Okay. Yeah, I think that the crab has this ability where you can discard it and you counter a spell, right? Like, which might come in really handy versus a deck full of like Teferis and other hate cards, or even just like a counter spell here.
Okay, this is the calm before the storm, right? We already know Elijah is probably not going to do anything for the first 2 turns. And then the 3rd turn as well, fireworks happens. Alex already knows that as well. Alex is probably trying to make something happen on the 2nd turn, but without acceleration on the 1st turn, we're not going to see a Teferi on the 2nd turn. So if I'm Elijah and I don't see acceleration on Alex's 1st turn, I'm actually pretty happy, because I don't think there's something super devastating he can do on the 2nd turn, especially not of Underground Sea and... Well, look at this. Okay. We got basically 3 forces at the pitch house to go along with it. This can actually completely neutralize a Creative Technique, but instead we just go for the spider.
Yeah. Has Cascade, has a body to it.
Sweet and usually Recluse.
And usually that's enough to cascade into the Creative Technique and take over the game. However, Alex has a little bit to say about this, I think, with so many forces.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. Like, first of all, we wait and see what's going to happen of the Cascade. By the way, for those wondering, the Spider is a 6 mana, 0/3 reach flash. And when it enters the battlefield, you get to put 3 +1/+1 counters of each of any number of target creatures that enter the battlefield this turn. So since this is on the very bottom of the stack, any other creatures that come into play also get to put a bunch of counters on them. So I guess there's a little bit of synergy, but let's be honest, it's really only there for the Cascade. And we find the Creative Technique. So at this point, if Alex is willing to exhaust his entire hand, he literally can stop all of this. It's up to him whether you think it's worth it.
Yeah, totally. We should see if there's another Teferi Time Raveler sitting on Alex top of his deck.
Kai, help me out. Does this actually work? I got this idea of, if we had Teferi in hand and we brainstorm it to the top of our deck, do we actually get to cascade into it, or does Creative Technique shuffle your deck first?
That's a good...
You shuffle your library first. I just checked it out. Okay.
Okay.
No, at least there was a try. Okay, first of all, we start out pitching Brainstorm, take out the Creative Technique. Should go to exile then, as Elijah's still pondering his option, writing down some life total changes. Okay, that one's gone. It looks like we did not demonstrate. Now there's the spider. In the case of the spider, dude, this is... Okay, you get the spider. I mean, when you think about it, it's really only just like a... How big is it? Like a 3/3? We can deal with that, right? We're a 5-color Senate deck. We got creatures just as big, if not bigger.
A little surprised to that we didn't see the
demonstrate
the copy effect. Yeah.
I mean, Elijah's probably like seen enough of like Alex just like cascading into that. So I don't blame him. Like, look at him, he's vibing. He's like, I got my spider, you know, I'm ready for the beatdown. Let's go, let's go. Loving it, dude. That's the spirit. That's the spirit. That's what I want to see. There's Grist.
Okay.
So many insects flying around here. Insects every side of the board. Is a spider? No, the spider does not have trample, right? There's probably not too many trampling spiders. So this is already basically you're out to the spider. You can make a token every single turn. Eventually, maybe even just like try to get rid of it. So now it's on Elijah to cascade again. He's got the mana. Does he have the spells? I think he also might have a bounce spell, which could help. Maybe even take out a Grist. Yeah, I mean, I could see that. Maybe we just go for the boarding party that I think is in there as well. He's still got game, man. Dude, I think this game is far from over.
That's a good part about this deck, right? Is that it's not like a Belcher deck where you go all in ASAP. Like this deck can cast one Cascader after the other, turn by turn.
Is that the ruin that we see on the very left on his of his cards in hand? I haven't seen that card in forever, except for I guess Mississippi River. Oh yeah, that's the white bordered copy of Dwarven Ruins. I'm pretty sure. Elijah's trying to figure this out. Did I go for another creature?
Like
so, which one's gonna be?
Exactly, like making the land drop also kind of hurts here because of the City of Traitors. Like that one has to go.
Yeah, basically, his entire mana base is going to disappear on this turn if he actually ends up casting something. Because the depletion lands, also, they only have one counter on it each. So if he wants to use that, or at least draw that mana, we'll see. There's the, I think, what's the red one? Is it that Trumpeting Carnosaur? It's like the 6 mana, 7/6 trample. When it enters the battlefield, discover 5. Ooh, another broken ability. And that one's certainly going to help us out here as well. And we can also discard it to deal 3 damage to target creature or planeswalker. So I guess he was trying to figure out whether he wants to spend 3 mana on basically incinerating something here.
All right. How about another insect? Like they're mostly gonna be here for the jump block duty here, but
yeah, not too much else.
Yeah, Alex
might
be just
every day we make a sacrifice to the spider.
Oh yeah, 100%. I think like Alex's biggest goal here is to find and cast Teferi Time Raveler. That's his absolute number one job here. And everything past that is almost doesn't matter as much. Like how he closes the game, like can be via Atraxa, can also be an Uro, can be a bunch of insects, can be a Gris Ultimate. There are many options, but he is the Teferi Time Raveler. That's the one no-go card, basically.
Yeah, and I'm trying to figure out like which kind of outs do we have against it. I guess once again we keep going back to the Trumpeting Carnosaur. The problem with that though is it only deals 3 damage. So should we ever get it? Okay, now it's down to 1, I guess. Now we can deal with it. Because otherwise, Teferi, if it comes to play and it ticks up, it's out of something I never imagined I would say this weekend. It's out of Trumpeting Carnosaur range. But now it is. It is. The dinosaur could take it down, and once again, we could try to cascade into something at least. Also pretty cute because it's an activated ability of discarding the Carnosaur and dealing damage. It's not something that Alex will be able to force a foil. Oh no, look at that Cypher Wand. Ooh, last time I've seen that, it was like an extended 15 years ago in the balancing thing stack. Oh, and it actually is happening. It's happening. Dinosaur eating Teferi. Somebody make some fan art for that. Oh.
Nice. Pretty nice. Yeah, that's step number 1. Teferi's gone.
Is Teferi one of the most hated cards ever printed, at least in the last 10 years? I think it's up there, right?
Yeah, like not so much in Legacy maybe, but a lot in Modern, I think. But yeah, the passive ability of Teferi is undeniably like powerful and shuts down so many decks, strategies. It's also like not the most fun thing maybe to play around, but I guess like the competition in Legacy is really high because there's so many powerful things you can do on turn 1, 2, 3, 4.
And speaking of power level, there's Natural Order, and we're probably going to get another Atraxa here. They're just like, I want the big creatures. Oh, something is going wrong here. Let's see what Alex finds off the Atraxa.
Yeah, could be an Atraxa which finds another Teferi time Reveler.
A bunch of lands, Uro. Oh, there's a Minskin Boo. Oh, that's another
Ooh.
card we haven't seen in quite a while.
Yeah, we haven't seen Minskin Boo in
Minskin
many
Boo,
weeks.
Leyline Binding we're gonna get. I would just like take the Force of Will and some kind of pitch card here, even though like Demonstrate is good against the kind of like gameplay. I can see, as you mentioned earlier, right? Maybe there's also a world where we take the Brainstorm, but no, just going straight for more protection, more offense, and a way to deal with a creature that might be left behind from some kind of cascading event. Yeah, I think Alex is in a very good spot here, and he knows it.
Very nice. Yeah, that Atraxa can even throw. Oh no, the Minskin Boo can even throw the Atraxa for lethal damage. Maybe
Does that work?
I think you can throw any creature if it has
but you
trample.
only draw the extra cards if it's hamsters, right?
I think if it got trample or if it was a hamster, yeah. Atraxa probably not a hamster. I gotta double check.
We'll have to double check on that. We will come back to you with the answer to that. As we pass the turn to Elijah, rips another card from the top. He's got access to a bunch of mana, but is it gonna do anything for him? Is it dinosaur time? Are we gonna get the dinosaur down? Which then once again just gets eaten by bugs, as they probably eventually did many years ago. Elijah trying to figure this out. Look at that mana base, by the way. That's a thing of beauty. Okay. How much mana is that? 2, 4, 6. The boarding party. Oh, another spider. Here we go. Here we go.
Right. It's Cascade time. And this time Elijah knows that there is the Force of Will in Alex's hand, right? He knows that.
Well, the thing is, if he knows that, then he must demonstrate here, right? Otherwise, he gets his creative technique countered, and then he's sitting on a spider that doesn't do anything.
Yeah, exactly. What Elijah doesn't know is that Alex has multiple forces in the hand, so...
Oh yeah, that's from very early in the game, right? When we saw his hands. Oh.
This might be a tough one.
Yeah, he calls it. You do it first.
Oh, and the reveal is another Force of Will.
Oh man.
Oh no.
Yeah, he's like, okay, I'm just gonna target one of your copy, well, either your copy or your original spell. And then I got another one. I'm gonna take all of those.
Oh no, yeah, this is not what Elijah's signed up for here. Oh, what?
But I appreciate, I appreciate the tenacity. Like, he's hanging in there, right? He got the hardcast spider, he got another hardcast spider. He's making life as hard as possible for Alex. Unfortunately, Alex, I mean, yeah, the flips have been kind of devastating for Elijah there.
Yeah. Alright, how about a 7/7?
I guess at this point he can still take the damage. He doesn't really need to jump block. Okay. He does it anyway. Okay, yeah. As Grist takes up another one. Delighted Halfling hitting the graveyard, not an insect. Yeah, I guess they're confirming life totals because of the lifelink. Makes sense. And then at this point, so how much mana does Elijah have access to it? Right?
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, well, about
I mean, the Teferi is probably like just like the cherry on top, I think.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
You know, this is like if you go into some kind of video game and you put on the AI and you're like in the training simulator and you accidentally crack it up all the way to 11. And you're like, give me as much as you can about the hardest possible scenarios. And then the AI is like, okay, let's go. We're gonna put Alex Mack in here on 5-color Senate. And you will play Mississippi River against them until you find a way to win. And Elijah's still trying, right? Elijah's trying to figure it out. I think he even has another creative technique, but he has to deal with so many cards, and I don't think there's gonna be enough time for him to like take out all the Planeswalkers and the Atraxa and still have enough mana to do something.
Yeah, looks like he's in like a real world of trouble here. There's like so many things he has to worry about and has to deal with. Like the Grist is also on 7 loyalty. It can maybe ultimate relatively soon to drain him out.
Oh yeah, true, you're right. I didn't even pay attention to that. Crystal
Yeah.
Ultimate doesn't really come up all that often. A lot of times people even concede before it happens. But yeah, that's like it could actually take away a full turn depending on how many creatures there actually are in the graveyard. Yeah, Alex is probably like confirming right now, checking out everything that's going on. Elijah finds another land. What slams down on the pen? He's like, dude, I will try even harder next time I come back. He's got a bounce spell, so I guess that can take off a Traxa, but does he have blue mana, actually? I'm not even sure. I think Cypher Winds probably taps in some way to produce blue. Oh, you have to sacrifice it to do that? Oh, that's...
Oh, this is such I mean, it's like now we're in kind of like a desperation mode here, which is really unfortunate because I think Elijah's deck kinda wants to play against a deck like 5-color Zenith. Like, fair blue decks. Obviously, Teferi Time Raveler is kind of a devastating planeswalker. Like, any fair deck that doesn't go off too quickly, doesn't combo you out, is generally speaking, I think, like exactly the deck you want to play against if you're on Mississippi River. However,
I agree.
however, like the flips were so in Alex's favor, both times.
So there's actually no board left for Elijah at this point. Oh no, that has the single Dwarven Ruin, by the way, which I give him a lot of credit for. I think these old cards are so cool. I don't know, Dwarven Ruin is just like, there's a different artwork that I love even more, but I remember playing against these cards when I was like starting out playing Magic, and I was all like, whoa, this like produces 2 mana and you only have to sacrifice it. Like, sign me up. I'm gonna play a deck entirely just with those. You can probably imagine how that went for me. Okay. 7 life, even without a Traxa. Wait, did we just like hardcast a Traxa?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's the icing on the cake. Yeah, sure. Hardcast a Traxa as Elijah reveals a hand of a crab, a spider, and another creative technique.
Nice. Alex, congratulations. Advancing to 2-0 here. Really nice. I don't think that he expected deck to look like that versus a Mississippi River deck. But here we are. It was highly entertaining, I gotta say. Like, because you don't see that kind of matchup very often.
Yeah, I wasn't even sure if he was like completely aware of the deck. There's actually a chance that he might have just like encountered it for the very first time. So yeah, that was, especially if you run into this and you've never seen this before and you still figure out what he needs to do, like, lots of respect to him.
Yeah, this deck might cause a lot of judge calls too. Because like how strange those cards are, right? Like, you don't see those cards very often.
Yeah. I think we're about to go on a break for a couple of minutes. Definitely stay tuned. We're going to be right back with the 3rd round of the Legacy Championships here in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. 11 rounds to go. 9 of those are going to happen today. 2 more tomorrow. We got 1,000 players in the room, 5,000 matches of Legacy to be played on the weekend, and we're going to bring you just the best of them. So stay tuned and be back in a couple of minutes.